The act of diverging gives your oppressor the cleanest win. They get rid of you without consequence while you're stuck surviving in the middle of nowhere, isolated, exposed, and permanently worse off. You lose land, law, allies, and leverage, and you end up trapped on a platform that survives only through supply lines, permission, and tolerance from the same world that already let you get persecuted in the first place. Agency from shackles are always won through brave trade offs. The affirmative's whole story fails because they're hallucinating a world where you can get the biggest liberation without paying any cost, just like you're just going to face this small logistic problem. When in reality, real freedom always demands sacrifice somewhere to win power where it matters most. First clarification, the motion grants you feasibility that seasteading can be possible, but it doesn't give you the protection and the shift of international law regarding high seas. Seasteading is not a neutral experimentation, and Gov is right that it will receive international attention. But you know the primary incentive of state leaders, right? You would know that they're going to give aids and they're not going to give aids and transactions that doesn't benefit them at all, or to states that aren't tied to them at all. The attention that you will get there isn't sympathy or protection. It's security attention, the kind that gets you treated like a threat. The moment that you plant a sea stand or seastead anywhere near free zones, which is international water, that states rely on for exports, imports, and shipping lanes, you stop looking like a refugee and start looking like a volatile, unregulated microstate sitting beside global trade arteries. That's exactly the kind of thing governments labels as a piracy risk, smuggling hub, an insurgent shelter, or terror staging point. Even if you literally did nothing wrong, and once that narrative sticks, you get the worst kind of spotlight. And this is where you gain all of the backlash from international community because again, that's a violation of international law. In lateral terms also on the same line, states give aids to other states that they have relations with. But in affirmative, you're starting on a clean slate. You literally don't have any historical tie to another states. And even if you're not persuaded by this, go back to my call out that states doesn't just give aids. Even if they do, how would your agriculture survive? You cannot just give your people an unsustainable living from aids. You will literally live off from agricultural aids. Second, states,
COI
I said
plus
chat. Second, states will always have the incentive to take this offensively in violation of international law, just like what I told you. Seasteading is a claim to authority without accountability, and international law is designed precisely to prevent this kind of jurisdictional vacuum. High seas or international waters under UNCLOS cannot be stationed by any population for a long time. That's why artificial structures in international waters cannot generate territory, sovereignty, or jurisdiction. They must fall under a flag state. If they refuse, they become stateless entities which international law treats as legally vulnerable, boardable, and enforceable by any state. This means that sea states faces a fatal contradiction. One, if they submit to a flag state, they're not autonomous. Two, if they reject it, they're not protected. And there is no third category. International law does not recognize independent floating societies. So this guarantees instability in your side of the world. Residents live under constant legal uncertainty and exposed to seizure, sanctions, and dismantling. Literally, you have your mainland who was who literally forces you to opt into the sea. They also have the capacity to just follow you and seize all of your properties within those CCs in the first place because you're not legally protected. So this gives us the comparative coming from Joseph. Even if succession can involve conflict, and even if it's not sure that you're going to win, it is also the only strategy that can secure lasting peace through autonomy and rights. Violence does not disappear when you flee; it changes the safe. It changes the shape. This responds to Gov's disingenuous attempt of safeguard and protection under international waters, because CSTs invites blockades, sabotages, and piracy narratives and constant insecurity. Literally, it's insane that you're choosing water as your safe homeland when water is one environment humans have never been built to live in long term. And funny enough, this is also happening in an era where climate change is making oceans more violent, less predictable. We have stronger storms and rougher oceans or rougher seas, deadlier storms and worse corrosion. Funny enough, just by a simple climate change case, your whole frame is literally losing. So even if you build the sea steed, you're not building stability. You're building a fragile life support system that collapses under the moment in terms of weather. So our side is the only one that actually opens the door to negotiation. You have your land because the moment you anchor your struggle, you formulate some sort of negotiation because the state is still needs your land in the first place. But before that, I'll take the POI. Three.
Okay, so from CG, if
Yeah.
persecuted communities can safely govern themselves on systems, preserve their culture, sustain their society and long-term and engage international without any sort of threatening from over other states, why should we raise the level of getting that level of succession, which exposes us to war, sanction, and that level of instability in the first place?
First of all, that question is wrong. There's no real mechanism that stops government from turning CCs into the trap. Literally, you have your mainland that already hates you. They want you gone, so they have every incentive to choke your supply lines, pressure ports and shipping partners, and block anything that keeps you alive out there. And the moment that you become isolated, you're an easy and volatile target for them. They can harass you with zero backlash, label you as a security risk to international community, and even claim the waters that you're building under the excuse of territorial integrity or maritime security within their proximate area. Because you guys don't have any legal protection at all. So our side is the only one that actually opens the door to negotiation. Because the moment that you anchor your struggle on land, you anchor it on something that oppressors cannot comfortably ignore. Land is taxes, resources, and borders and trade routes. That's literally the reason why in Philippines we're forced to reconcile with Mindanao despite of the conflict with Luzon. And here's the strategic beauty on this. Even if failure is not, a permanent failure, or even if the success cannot be guaranteed, you still have the model that carries a chance of victory and a chance of partial gains, even in loss. In your side, your model literally guarantees you nothing at all. You block all of the chances of your people winning this battle. In our side, you still have a whole region that supports you, a whole region that can sustain for you because you have something like Taiwan, for example, who survived all of these atrocities and formulate their own identity simply because they didn't convert into all of the conditions laid down by their oppressors. Very proud to oppose.